Hello, thank you for checking out my video today. Just want to give an update on my project. It's been probably well over a month since I posted a video. Mainly, there just hasn't been any changes to the board, um, other than one micro change to this the green PCB. Um, I have the reddish purple one still, and there's just one little change between them, but they both function exactly the same. It's more of like a cosmetic change. Um, for those who haven't ever seen any of my videos, I'll just give you a quick overview. So what you got is it's an 8088 PC compatible board. It's all made from scratch. I used a lot of references from the internet and like the IBM 5150's technical manual. This one does not have a DMA controller native. You can add it. I've got the add-on card here. This is not a perfect add-on, but that one's still kind of a work in progress. But this board here, it fits inside of an ATX case. It uses the 7 card slots. I made it modular. We've got the RAM here. One change that I may come up with is this is a 512K, just one 512K right there. A little bit of upper RAM here, but I might put on a 128K chip next to this one to bring up to a 640K. I haven't done that mainly because of cost, and I don't really use more than 512K on my boards. We got the processor card here. Might be thinking maybe a lot of this could have gone onto the main board, but the reason why I have this is because you can put a V40 processor card on there. This happens to be a 10 megahertz. Well, the processor is actually 20 megahertz, but I've got it running at 10. So if you know much about the V40, this has got everything built in that this has got added to it. So got our system, the interval timer here, got an interrupt controller, the clock, then our latches, transceiver, bus decoder for the IO read writes, and then a V20 processor. And you can just as easily plug in a 8088 to this, and that's what I run in mine mainly. I don't supply these because they're about $5 a piece. Where the V20 you can get between $1 or $2, depending on how long you want to wait for them to get mailed to you. So anyway, the main board, the biggest update, which I talked about in my last video, was I added the ability to read from port 61. Here, I just added in a transceiver and added in a little bit more decoding down here. So it added 2 chips. I wanted to keep this super simple, and it still is. So I was kind of reluctant to add those 2 chips, but they're on there now. The keyboard controller, you can use 2 different chips here. I'm pretty much using this VT82C42V anymore. USB, this is the hard drive. You just get these modules. They just run a few bucks off the internet. When I sell them, these come with them, of course. This is my MS-DOS USB drive, but I usually ship them with FreeDOS, but I would recommend getting a copy of MS-DOS if you've got the ability to. I just don't know the legalities on it. That's why I don't ship them out. The rest of this, just some decoding. You've got a clock on the board, and this provides the 4.77 megahertz to the ISA click, and then also to the system timer that's built into the board here. And that's what the extra ISA slot here is it provides like just a few things that the ISA never provided to get to the processor card. Things like the keyboard, IRQ1 never was on the ISA, but I've got it down here on this one. So anyway, that's where we're at. I'd say it's a very finished product, other than the DMA controller is a little finicky. It seems to work with the an 8088 or a V40, but not so much with the V20 right now. I posted all the schematics online, so if anybody ever wants to give it a try to clean it up, that they're more than welcome to. The one thing I was thinking is on the 5150, they use like a wait cycle, they use like a 7.4 LS7.4 to create like a half a click delay or a full click delay when it requests the system bus, and that may be something that needs to be implemented. But anyway, that's a little off into the weeds on today's video. From here, I want to talk about the Discord page that was put together and the GitHub page. So I'm going to pause the video and reposition the camera, and we'll pull those up on my computer. All right, I got the camera all repositioned here. Hopefully you can see the screen decent enough. I was actually suggested that I use some like screen capture software for recording videos. I ordered some hardware to do that, and it hasn't been working out great. I think I could actually probably record this right on where it's on the PC, but anyway, hopefully you can see it and I'll talk through it. So this is the GitHub page that I put together for the 8088 PC project. I've got a couple of repositories here. We've got the 8086 PC as well, the EEPROM programmer, and my Pi86 project. The 8086 PC, just to give you a heads up, it is not like necessarily in a working state. It kind of sort of works, but it needs a lot of work to get working. It's just more of I put it here for reference material for anybody that wants to build off of it. But you can't just make this an out-of-the-box work. So I don't really want to talk about the Pi86 today or the EEPROM programmer. We'll just talk about the 8088 PC. So what I've done is I've posted everything that I've got on this. The biggest thing that you may be interested in is the KiCad files. So I've listed them here. I've got the memory, I've got the processors, the V40, the 8088, and the main board. Now some of these may not be as up to date. So for example, the 4-slot ATX board, I stopped developing and I've stopped making because the 7-slot was highly in demand. It makes sense because with this project you're going to want to add as many ISA slots as you can. The 4-slot mainly is just the PC running with one extra slot once you add a video card, because the RAM and the processor take up 2 slots. The DMA card is here. I'm not opening these because you got to open them in KiCad to actually see them. But like I said, it needs the most work. I've noticed, I want to say on the 5150, they use like a 7.4 LS7.4 or a similar chip, like I think it's a 175, to create like a half a click delay when it requests. And I was wondering if maybe adding something like that to the DMA request lines, and maybe that would help it function a little better. The current board does work fine with the 8088 and the V40, but just not always perfect. Got the 8188 here for those that are interested in that. It's for those that want to try it out. The way I went with this, I made a whole video on it, so definitely check that out. I recommend just using a V20 if you want the extra 186 commands. Let's see what else we got in here. So I've got the parts list. This is for if you buy the blank boards and you're putting one together. This should be up to date. I've updated it since I added the speaker fix. So you can see I've got the LS245 here and the 139 I've added, so now there's 3 instead of 2. And I updated the capacitor count. It should be 28. Everything else on here should be correct for building one. And I've got it broke down by card. So the V20 card, the V40 card, the RAM, and then the DMA controller down here. So if you are building one, there's your parts list for you. I've got my BIOS in here. So I've got the LCD BIOS here. That was, if you've seen a lot of my videos, I made an LCD screen that I used for early testing before I got the CGA card working. we've got the CGA BIOS. Now keep in mind, I haven't updated these in a long time because the third-party BIOS is just so much better. I don't know if I'll ever even be able to match that because it just works. The 8188 is probably the most updated, but it's just more of a knockoff of my CGA BIOS with the added 188 setup code here, which I've listed up front so that anybody that needs reference on that. There's a few other links in here that might be useful for you. DOS files, I've just put in some files that I've used over time. So let's go to the third-party BIOS page here. I'll put all these links in the description of this video. So this is where you're going to want to get your BIOS, especially if you're building your own board or you need to update your BIOS. The current BIOS works great. It detects between the 8088 and the V40. So you can plug in either one. You don't have to modify the BIOS at all. The V20 with the latest one sometimes doesn't work too great, and I've had to roll back to an older version. It doesn't seem to want to load the USB host too well. So, but anyway, it's a great BIOS, way better than what I could create. So that's what we're using. And the main thing here is I want to say it's an off-the-shelf, the PCXT BIOS. And then he's added in the USB host to boot from. That's the main thing that was done on this code. So let's talk about the Discord page. So this was put together by somebody else, but it's a great resource. So if you are having a question, I would definitely recommend posting it on Discord so that anybody else who has the same questions can get the answers, and it saves me a lot of time from answering questions repeatedly. You can still post them in YouTube, that's fine. I don't mind answering them there. But this guy's got it broke down. You got your general, looks like most people just say hi here. The motherboard project, so we've already gone through. There's been a few questions that have come out over time, so you can read through that if you have any questions. And if you don't see it, definitely post it, and I'll try to answer it, or somebody else can answer it that knows what the answer would be. He's also got the Raspberry Pi PCB in here. There's been a little bit of traffic on that. Looks like there was with the latest version of Raspberry Pi OS, the way that you set up the Raspberry Pi may have changed. I need to try it out, and then maybe I'll update my website on that. Now you got show me your system. So show us your system. So I've posted here. Definitely, if you build a system, or if you got a system and you've got it in a case or not in a case, I'd like to see it, see what you got. I put in here, there's no required format, but I put in here that I'm running at 8 megahertz. I'm running an 8088-2, 512K of RAM, my Ethernet card, and my video card, and posted a picture here, and this is it in the case. So definitely feel free to post your system here. And then we got some BIOS adventures. So this is a place for the, this is for like my EEPROM writer. So if you have any questions on that. And then the 8086, if you have any questions here, this is because it's the newest, it doesn't have much on it. So anyway, that's kind of the updates on where I'm at on the project. And like I say, for me, it's a very finished product, other than some maybe minor cosmetic or some tweaks. Probably won't be too much change over the next year on it. I may try to keep working on the 8086, but as you can see in this picture here especially, it is just so much bigger of a board, and it takes so much more parts and money. It's hard to say if it's worth the effort. So anyway, thanks for checking out my video today.